The purpose of this podcast is actually to create a network, right? We spoke on the network, and that's something that you need. You got to have a network.
Agreed.
The purpose of this podcast is to create a network of professionals to form a syndication with the people that I interview on this podcast, which is why I'm creating this podcast. So that's the point of even doing these. I haven't seen you in 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow, it's crazy.
It's been a good minute, man.
Yeah.
How's postgraduate life treating you?
Everything is great. Like, everything is really going good. It's really going, in the grand scheme of things, really well.
You got to get with the right network.
Yeah. Right network, but just on a day-to-day basis, just like walking around or just riding a bus or just being anywhere. It's not Douglasville.
For sure.
It's definitely not Douglasville.
Yeah. So you're in Atlanta, like Atlanta.
I'm like literally on the edge of Atlanta and Austell.
Yeah.
So it's barely Atlanta, but it's incorporated Atlanta.
Yeah. Yeah. I got good friends who are in that kind of unincorporated South Fulton area.
Yeah, so South Fulton is where it's at, where on the new city on the come up. They're on the come up over there.
Yeah.
So man, I'm gonna just go back to the start of this, which is not really the start, of course, because you were my band teacher when I was in high school. Bro, I really saw you were a mortgage broker like a year ago.
Yeah.
On like Facebook, if not longer than that. But that's when I saw that you were a mortgage broker. And so you, my high school teacher, we had lots of conversations.
We did.
What we're gonna do after high school.
Yeah.
And the taste that I had in my mouth was like, bump you. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That's the taste that I had.
Yeah.
And I saw that you followed me on Instagram because I was really trying to just avoid you on the internet because I did not want to.
That anger held, huh? That anger held for a good minute.
yeah, it did. And so I told my big brother, he's like 55. Yeah. He's not my real brother, but he's like an older guy. And I was like, man, my teacher, when I was in high school, he was telling me not to do real estate. I'm probably shortening it, but that's what I'm telling him. He's telling me not to do real estate, and now he's in real estate. So I'm like, what? Like, you was discouraging me and telling me not to do real estate.
I know you wonder why I made the switch to mortgage industry. I already know a network of band directors, I kid you not, who are building wealth through real estate, right? Yeah. So these guys are fixing and flipping properties all over Metro Atlanta. They run one of the bigger real estate networking communities in Metro Atlanta. And I know that they needed a mortgage guy. So it was an easy kind of parlay. I had a network already. I just had to become useful to that network. And for me too, this build for me in the mortgage industry allows me to build something that allows the revenue to keep coming in, even if I'm not like full-time in it long-term, which allows me to do something I've always wanted to do, which is to get a DMA. When you have a kid, it's hard to do a DMA in conducting. And shout outs to the guys who I know who've done it. Like, I know some guys who they got their doctoral of musical arts in conducting with a child, and they were earning $17,000 a year as a graduate assistant. I can't do it. I need something where I know the money's going to be there. And so as a broker, I'm able to build a team and make sure they're like achieving excellence and have all the systems in place to be good. And they're serving the community and their community in an efficient way. And I'm helping people find their path economically so that they can find employment and work. It's similar to teaching, right? I was trying to help you guys find your path economically. What are you going to bring to this economy? How are you going to make money? And for a lot of people in Douglas County and in Madison County where I taught, not so much at Rising Star, but in those two schools specifically, they might have been the first person in their family that was successful. They might or might not have been. They might have been that person that they fall back into what they know as a family. And so for me, it was like a very important mission. And I know my sister taught in rural Georgia, very important for her to see those. It was a mission to us to be like, look, like you might be a game changer for your family in just building security, economic security for your family, and you have the resume to do it. And so I guess I'm doing that now with adults. I know that there are a lot of folks who are looking for pathways. So if I can help them become excellent in this profession, it works for me because I still get to be that teacher. I still get to help people build lives. And I'm, instead of helping you with playing in tune and playing in time and playing in tone, I'm helping people get into a home. And I still remember the wallpaper in my childhood bedroom. We had, my parents first built the home, and it wasn't their dream home. It was just a home. I remember when they first built that home, they put up the stock wallpaper that you got in a lot of homes in the 70s, and it was like World War I airplane wallpaper, right? And I still remember that wallpaper. I remember the memories in that little box that was my bedroom. And I don't know that it was the littlest box, but I remember the memories. I remember playing in the backyard and the friendships I made in Warner Robins, Georgia, because that was my home. And too many people, in my opinion, are paying rent. Yeah. You miss the benefit of home ownership and the community you have by owning, when all you're doing is being an asset to whoever owns that property. And so
this is a surreal moment for me, seeing the other side, and not necessarily seeing the other side, but I guess also being on the other side, because I'm also much older than when we initially had those conversations. Back when I was in high school in the band, and it wasn't just me and you; it was the whole class, and everyone was talking. It was a forum, really. And I would say that really shaped, I think, a lot of my personality. I would say definitely personality, because a really big thing for me was just looking for like the secret, right? The formula. Like, how do I make this work?
Do you know what profession in the U.S. creates the most millionaires long term?
Real estate.
No.
What?
There are a lot of people who fail in real estate. So the people who figure out real estate do quite well. But in terms of creating millionaires, and again, millionaire, education.
Really?
Slow and steady approach. I'm not saying multimillionaires.
Are you talking, what do you mean education, like a teacher?
Their net worth is $1 million. Plus their retirement that they get through the state, plus their real estate that they have in their home or their secondary home.
You know what that sounds like to me? It just sounds like we just had different sets of information. Because
that's normal. People tend to get frustrated when there are different sets of information. I agree.
Because I thought it was, I just said it was real estate.
No, but you think about, think about the average real estate agent makes $36,000 in Georgia.
Yeah.
The average. How do you become a millionaire when your average is 36? Add to this, okay? Add to this. And I'll say the same thing about mortgage professionals. So the median salary in Georgia for mortgage professionals is $91,000. But that median also feeds in that there are hundreds or thousands of folks in Georgia who have a mortgage loan origination license who do zero production. Zero. That 91,000 includes people who don't offer anything to anyone. And so when you see like stats, when you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
All right, we're going to bring that up.
Right. When you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you have to like temper that with the fact that I know a lot of broke real estate agents. I don't know many broke school teachers.
Yeah.
They're not rich by any means. And $1 million in this era isn't what $1 million was in 1950 or 1980. You know what I'm saying?
Just in the past 20 years. And I haven't even been an adult really for 10 years. And I've seen it like just dwindle.
But imagine, okay, you have a steady check. When I started teaching, my steady check started at $46,000, which is right at or slightly below the average salary in the United States. But it's slightly higher than the average salary in Georgia. If you look now, the average teacher makes about $52, $53 starting. In Cobb County, they got it where Cobb County, Fulton County right now, which the rest of the state will follow because they don't have a choice because every teacher is going to leave for those counties. Cobb County, Fulton County right now, the year 12, you're making $100K. 13, you're making $100K as a teacher with a master's degree. So like the slow and steady approach is not a fast approach. But if you're the teacher who also, which I'm friends with guys who do, if you're a teacher who also understands how to automate flipping a house, automate the landlord process, and you have an inflation resistant property that you, if money gets where it doesn't do what it used to do, you just raise rent on the tenant. I know guys who are fixing and holding properties to get the assets to buy the next one. These guys are winning long term. They went from having 0 houses to 5 or 6 or 12 or 17 in the last 5 years. And so that steady check, this, like the cool thing about like the college route's not like, if you're an IT major in college, or if you're a nursing major, you're not getting wealthy quick. You're just an employee in most cases, unless you go for architecture. If you go for architecture, you go for law school. I have friends who've been working down in Savannah for Gulfstream who they started making 85,000 20 years ago. But then that opens up the door for other things. And so you just have the steadiness, the predictability, the boringness of that check. And then I think that the hard thing about going the other route is you're trying to create that predictable. You're trying to create that value add that the community knows you by. You're basically an owner without being the owner. And so it's interesting.
Yeah. Just listening to you, you definitely know your stuff as far as everything you've spoken on. It's just interesting to just hear. You have a lot of perspectives on these different professions, these different industries, and then also the insight as far as what those industries or professions lead to.
Yeah.
Which is, and I'm sure you probably knew this when you were teaching me, because I mean, you went to college.
I'm sorry I ticked you off. I know it's normal for a teacher, especially when you work with them for 4 years. It's a long relationship.
Yeah, it was for me. And with that aspect, part of it too was just like a coming of age, right? Because I'm trying to figure out, what am I going to do in my life?
Yeah.
And not just you either. I think a really good song that really captured that era is Future, Chosen One. And if you've ever listened to Future, that there's a bar in there where he's basically, everybody's a millionaire. And that's what I wanted. That's what I want. And I wanted everyone to be, I'm like, I want everybody to be rich, because I'm reading these books, Robert Kiyosaki, it just makes it seem so easy. You know what I'm saying? This is what the rich people do.
Yeah.
It's like the different rich wealth. It's like safe, secure, rich. That's the model that he was putting in the books. And I'm like, oh, this is it. This is what I need to believe in to make sure that I can get.
But it's a good read. It's a good read. I'm not knocking it. It's not a bad read.
But what I'm saying is that it created we had a lot of, I'm gonna say, dynamic conversations, because I'm gonna tell you, I felt like I was right from everything.
Everybody tends to
the same way. You still have that personality, which is cool. It's a good personality. But I know we have the same personality now that I'm seeing it. That driver personality is like, I'm right. I don't know if you're wrong, but I'm right.
You bet on yourself. And when a person's ready to bet on themselves, there's not much you can say. You have picked your path. You bet on yourself. I was looking the more secure path, the parachutey path.
Yeah, and I can see that because of just the language. And then you, of course, you're my teacher. You don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You don't know if anything would happen. So you're just trying to give me the best advice, which is, again, this is very like surreal. Just, I really did not like you for a long time.
I figured I didn't figure the long time part, but in the moment, deep,
but it was like, I'm just like, I'll just talk to somebody else. That guy bumped that guy.
And so for you, I knew this kid has so much promise and potential. And I'm sure Keem feels the same way. You meet certain kids and it's, I want baby brother to be like 100%. And I guess the way we saw the outside world, it was different at the time. And maybe it's different, but I know that my intentions were like good for you, even if the message was missed. And I used to say that a lot as a teacher, because like my intentions, I think, were always good, even if I messed up delivery of intentions or overstepped, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's cool, because like my big bros, like the guy, he was saying it is important to focus on the bigger picture. So I'm gonna just let you know right now, I'm letting that go because it doesn't really matter. I guess it'll sound egotistical, but I feel like in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm right. He was wrong. Now he's in real estate. And I know that's probably not even related to what your motivations are.
I think there's like a path we take in life, and whatever that path is, we take it.
Yeah, and that's It's banned. Like for me, if it was a victory, which kind of felt like a victory, it's an empty victory because it doesn't do anything for me, and it doesn't help me, doesn't help you. But me working with you does help me.
I'll take that.
And then, of course, I want to know, and I'm going over these questions. How can I help you?
So for me, it's all about bringing value to other people. So it's not like you said a phrase earlier, get that money. I think that's just like when I taught band, we used to work things that you guys hated, right? We used to work scales nonstop. We would work rudiments and percussion. Akeem would work you guys, and Torrey would too, on rudiments, right? And neither one of those are fun, right? They'd work eights and then they work all these other things. None of that stuff is fun, but the outcome is fun, right? And so for me, and to be fair, our outcome wasn't necessarily, in my mind, I could have cared less as a teacher about winning a competition. If I can teach you like grit, and if I can teach you, so for me, it's like in the mortgage field, it's if I can help somebody get into a home that never thought they could get into a home, if I can help somebody build a retirement through investment properties in an efficient way where they're not getting ripped off, if I can help, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if I'm not helping, I'm useless.
Yeah.
So what do you, and the important thing, what are you bringing to clients that, like, if I had a client that needed your services, what do you bring to the table for that client?
I'm glad you asked that question. So I offer coaching. I offer mentorship.
Okay.
I offer speaking. If someone wants me to speak at their event and speak on mindset development, I can come talk to them about that, talk to them about leadership. If they're new, I just had a mentorship session yesterday.
Okay.
Guy, he's 20, he's 20 years old. He works at a utility company. He just wants to know about real estate. Moved here from Michigan, and he's been looking into it for 2 years, but he doesn't really know where to start, where to go. So what I do with him is first I work on mindset. I'm gonna talk to you about having the right beliefs, having the right mastery of fears, having the right attitudes. I use what's called a cash formula, which I've gone to so many seminars. So cash, it means knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits.
Beautiful.
That is what is that's what's important. That's what goes into creating any lifestyle change or any goal you're looking for.
Yeah.
Cash, the cash formula. And then there's another one, the mental and spiritual techniques, mast formula, like mast of a ship. So you can get to those sales. And so I work with people on first their mindset so that they can even believe that this is possible. The amount of money that they can make is possible. And then from there, then I go into the content that's in my course, which I've just released. You guys check it out or just hit me up on Instagram. And so what that means is that inside of that course, I have 5 major components.
Okay.
Again, mindset is one, contracts, connections, language, and tools.
Okay.
And I explained what all those mean in the context of real estate, and then what leverageables you can do on your own time to get into a position of where you want to be in real estate. And then I have some video content that comes with that where I show my successes. I say, hey, look, this is the property I bought. This is what I paid for it. This is what I sold it for. This is the HUD statement. So you can see that this is a legit contract, that it was several years in between.
Right.
And you can see where I bought it for $100,000, where I sold it for $230,000.
Right.
Or I bought another property where I did all the renovations, or I hired the contractors to do all the renovations, and then bought it for $86,000 and sold it for $500,000 last year. And so I put that in the course because one, I want people to know that one, this is real information.
Right.
2, it's the real HUD statements. 3, you can get started, and there's a lot of avenues. But a lot of people, when they get started in real estate, they usually go for flipping or wholesaling or being a realtor. My specific history was becoming a realtor because I felt like that was the most structured approach. And then I offer coaching as well for people who want that hands-on experience, because obviously
you got the experience, you got the knowledge.
I've done wholesaling, fix and flips. I've done traditional transactions. I've been a part of new construction builds. I've done multifamily.
Yeah.
I've done raw land. I've done the gamut pretty much. And it's not to say that I'm not going to do more, because I want to do more.
Yeah. That's always the goal.
Yes. because but the courses exist because I want to be able to give back, and then two, I want to be able to do business with my students because, hey, who better to work with than somebody I taught?
Fair point. Fair point.
And so I offer that to people, and of course, I've written several books. I wrote a real estate dictionary.
Okay.
For the people who want to get into the lingo, right? A lot of the stuff that we're talking about for you guys in my audience, he mentioned mortgage, he mentioned home loans, we mentioned fix and flips. If you don't know the lingo, we're talking over your head right now. Right. And that's why I wrote a dictionary, is because I want people to be able to be a part of the conversation. I've always felt like wealth is a conversation.
True.
If you don't know the language, you can't be at the table.
Agreed.
You can't learn the wealth, or you can't have the wealth because you don't know what people are talking about when they say a DSCR or when they say a refinance. It's like, what is that? That's the money. And so that's why I wrote that dictionary. If you go to my Instagram page, it's free at Demetrius Wilson 444. And that's what I offer. And so if you guys also want to be a part of these transactions that I'm putting together.
So that's what you're looking for, is basically private equity.
I'm looking for partners.
Gotcha.
I'm going to say partners because I'm still learning about the 506D and the regulations and that go into all of that. So yeah, partners. I'm looking for partners. Business.
I would say one of the things to look into for sure in Atlanta is, I don't know if you've heard of it, Deal Makers of Atlanta.
Let me write it down because I'm sure I have. It sounds familiar, but I'm gonna write it down again.
So Deal Makers of Atlanta is a network of guys who are building their real estate empire. Another one that's good is Triple E in Fayetteville. And literally, if you look up EEE on Facebook, they're guys who, the two guys that run it have been investing since the early 90s.
Okay.
And they really have an understanding of how to build in Atlanta and how to build your net worth through real estate in Metro Atlanta. And they teach you all those things. But Triple E is a great place if you want to network with people who are doing what you're looking for. Likewise, Dealmaker is a newer. So Dealmakers is a national body, right? But Atlanta just got a local chapter. And I know the two guys who are running that chapter, and they're doing quite well to mentor other people who want to grow their real estate empire. And they just share knowledge. It really is just, this is how we do it. And then if there's some like investor partners show up who are the kind of, they use their retirement accounts as investment banks for people. So they do those kind of things, and they help people understand, hey, look, this is a possible extra strategy for this property, or this is a possible solution, or this is a possible. And they help people brainstorm if they feel stuck. And it's a really valuable resource. I have a YouTube channel that is more meant for primary home buyers. I don't really have much about investment properties on there, just because I believe in home ownership, but it is what it is.
But I will also say, though, that's like the bigger picture, right? The bigger picture is we need more homeowners.
I agreed.
And then I would even say that us being Black, one, we need to work together, because that just the unity, just Black people in general just do not work together and cooperate as nearly as much as they should or need to for their own sake, because we have the talent, we have the mindset, we have the knowledge, but we're not working together. And that's something that I've really, since living in Atlanta, really woken up to, because I'm gonna be honest with you, man, like when I lived in it, like when I started living here in Atlanta,
right,
bro, and I'm Black, and I'm gonna say this, but the Black people here treated me worse than the white people. And I'm like, bro, and I'm not racist.
I'll say the more you work in sales, the more you understand that green's the only color that matters. And this is just me. I want all people, regardless of factors they can't control, to be successful. I want all people to own homes. There are issues that need to be dealt with in terms of home ownership, but I do think that comes down to knowledge. And I think as long as I can offer knowledge, and again, my YouTube channels are available to anybody. There are people who think, I've talked to people who think they don't qualify for a mortgage, and they do. There are people who make good money, and they don't think they make good enough money to buy a home. And it's like, no, you do. And if we deal with issue X, Y, or Z, and it's up to you to control when you deal with that issue, you're ready to buy a home. You don't have to be an asset the rest of your life. You can have one.
I feel like I just got this feeling. I feel like I'm so excited I can't get the words out. I feel like we're changing the narrative, right? Because I was going to say to your point, it's exposure. People need to see successes. They need to see the people around them doing things that they thought were impossible. Buying a home, home ownership, saving money, paying down debt, experiencing freedom, going on vacations. If you like, some people never go on vacation or go travel anywhere outside of their city. So people need to see that. And I feel like this podcast is like changing the culture and like in real time. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think if you watch little kids play, and I got 2 little kids right now, I got a 4-year-old and 6-year-old. What you'll see with little kids, and this has been well studied, former education major here. Kids spend most of their playtime discussing the rules of engagement. How are we going to play is what they spend most of their time discussing. They don't actually spend most of it playing. That's little kids. By the time you hit 7th, 8th, 9th grade, the rules are established and they know how to play. Really 4th grade, 5th grade up. But those early years, they spend most of the time discussing rules. And the interesting thing about all these things related to wealth building is that most adults don't really ensure that they're going to valid sources for the rules. Right? They want to play. Every adult wants to play. Every adult wants their family to be more secure. Every adult wants to know the power of ownership. Every adult wants to understand and feel that power. But I think you learn about learned hopelessness. Yeah. Some people, because they don't know the rules, and it's interesting, Pavlov would shock dogs if they made the wrong decision, and eventually the dogs will make nothing but the right decisions, okay? But what happens if you shock the dog for what he thinks is the right decision, and normatively would be the right decision? So you shock him regardless of the decision. The dog develops learned hopelessness. And so instead of actually trying to complete the task, the dog would just lay down. And a lot of adults, instead of discussing the rules and finding a valid source for the rules, have decided, I'm just going to lay down. I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm paying rent and I'm an asset for somebody else. I'm going to accept the fact that I really haven't figured out this investing strategy, whether it's calling a person who does the passive investing, non-directed investing, or learning how to trade options. Or there's so many ors there where people have, life is interesting, right? It takes you again on that path that it takes you on. And instead of learning the rules, which takes energy, and negotiating how you're going to function inside of those rules, people decide, I'm just going to sit out. And this is the best way I know to sit out. I'm going to work my job. I'm going to pay my rent. I'm going to put money. I'm not going to put any money away. And so if I can help people in any way understand these are the rules and you qualify inside of these rules, you belong here, then I feel like I've won the day. And I feel like you're doing the same thing on your side. It's helping people fully understand just how much they belong in this system. If they understand, all they have to do is figure out the rules. And once you figure out the rules, it's not mission impossible.
There's this, to your point, there's this book, or this course rather, or this real estate course. It's talking about wealth principles. And it's literally what you're saying is that most people don't know the rules, right? So they come to a point where they break and they give up, but it's because they're playing on rules that are like their rules in their head, right? But the rules of reality, or the rules of the world or the economy, you broke your rule, but it doesn't mean that the rule it doesn't apply, or it's not consistent. It just means that what your version of the rule is, and what the consistent version, the outside of you, is different. And you came to a point where you broke yourself on that rule because you don't know what the real rule is. That's the wealth building principles of saving, investing a portion of your income. So now, do you have a product, course, or coaching, or anything that you want to promote to my audience?
I work with 255 lenders through Nexa. We're growing every year. I don't know that I have a product personally. I offer free knowledge on YouTube. Why? Because I really want people to feel empowered to make decisions that are important. And so if I can offer that free knowledge, I posted some videos. A lot of people are confused as to why interest rates are going up, even though the Fed just cut rates. And for me, it's letting people, I think for me, I go to my YouTube channel, check it out, learn if you qualify, how to qualify. And I use kind of FHA as a barometer because there's so many ways where FHA can be useful because it was first, right? It was the first government program. And so it's useful in defining what you should be pursuing on a base level. Conventional is a little higher. And then if you're looking to invest, it's a much higher bar for investors, but it should be, right? Because they're riskier borrowers than somebody who's living in the house. But I offer that knowledge just because I want more people to see the pathway to yes. And I train all my loan officers. Your job is not to give people a final answer. It's to give them, unless the answer is yes. But if the answer is not yet is the answer, it's not no. It's never no. The answer is never no. The answer is not yet. The answer is, hey, if we do these things, and this is how we do those things, we're going to get you there. And so that's, I guess, what I offer people.
Okay. Do you have any goal, like any, my question is, what are your goals, right? What are your goals?
So for me in life, like I still want to jump back into what I was doing when you were a student, but at another level. I want to be the best husband and father I can be, best community member I can be. And two, on the mortgage side, I want to help people find their yes in the most efficient, affordable path that we can find. And then in terms of real estate, most definitely building my wealth through real estate. It's the best path for most people, unless you're trading options, right? If you know how to trade stock options and you know how to do calls and puts and all those things and all how to really understand the rules for that function, then by all means, it's a great way to do it. But
I would say that it's like one of those things that's like real estate. I'll get to it eventually. It's not going anywhere. They're not going to shut down the stock market tomorrow.
But we see that 401ks aren't working for people. That's a fact. If you look at the data, 401ks are not set for inflation. So whenever you retire, if inflation occurs, and it will occur, it occurs every year. It's occurred my whole life.
Yeah.
Eventually, inflation is going to catch up with that 401k, and you're going to be eating cat food as a retiree. Mm-hmm. Unless you have a pension plan, right? And pension plans are harder to come by. And so for me, I want the inflation resistant hedge that real estate offers people who are retired. Yes, it requires you to have systems in place, but if you have those systems in place, it's not hard to manage it. And if say I get too old to want to manage it at some point, I can teach my kids those systems. And so my kids can manage it. And then when I pass away, they have this inflation resistant revenue stream that it's a safer asset, or they can sell it, right? Then they can benefit from the home price appreciation. But they have this inflation resistant asset that gives them the opportunity to, if they want to work their job, they can, whatever they want to work in. If they don't want to work that job, and I've done it, I have this stream of revenue. Add to this, for anybody that comes in at Nexa as a loan originator, basically you have the opportunity to recruit your team and build your team and help people be successful in the profession. And so I'm hoping, and I've got some people already who are doing quite well, bring value to people who are looking to build that profession too. And a lot of people who are like, one of my best guys was going door to door selling vacuums. And I was like, dude, if you're willing to do this for vacuums, you should jump into what I'm doing, because the payout's a little bit better. And if you've got the hustle to do this, you can most definitely kill it on this side. And I'm excited to see his growth. I'm excited to see I have some retirees that retired from education and are now jumping in. It's been awesome to help people build. So I guess my whole life as a teacher, I've always wanted to help people build. It's been awesome.
Do you have any projects you're working on currently?
So I got my blog, and it's not the most exciting reads, but it makes you a more informed person when it comes to shopping mortgage rates and when it comes to understanding why rates do what they do and the benefits of home ownership and all those things. I've got the YouTube channel that does a similar thing from a different perspective. But I think for me, it's just spread knowledge. Anything I can do to help people understand their path to yes. I think that's my mission in this, is helping people understand, look, you don't need 20% down. Hey, look, you don't need a 700 credit score. Hey, look, there's so many understood things that aren't true. So much common sense that isn't true. And I'll add to that. At present point, we have these talking points about realtors. What value do they really bring? Do a transaction on some of these realtor-less services, and you'll find out exactly how much a realtor can help you protect yourself.
Man, so that's not a question, man.
Yeah.
They ring, don't they ring?
No. So and yes, there are bad professionals in every field.
How much money do you want to lose?
Do you really want to make sure the house you're about to spend 200 to 500,000 on is a good one?
Yeah.
Do you have your own network that can check to make sure this is true? Like,
this is a real contract. Are they even gonna file this? Are you gonna get a real deed?
Question: do you want the people selling you the property to also represent you?
Yeah. Do you want them to actually own the property they're selling you?
Like, these are all, there's so much common sense in there. And I told a friend who's one of the top realtors in Savannah. If you look him up, we went to college together. This dude's killing it in Savannah. Does anywhere between 40 and 65 real estate transactions a year. The guy posted how like common sense isn't so common anymore. And I said, common sense is based on the community you're with. And if that community isn't armed, what you're carrying around as common is actually terrible. And link up with a realtor, link up with a mortgage guy, stop carrying the myths, stop carrying the ignorance, and get you a home. Get you collect those memories for your child with the wallpaper, even if it's not the dream home. Do you follow John Hope Bryant?
I think I do. I see. I've heard that name a lot.
So John Hope has advised 3 presidents. The last president he advised was Obama, but Clinton, W, and Obama, he was he was an advisor to their cabinetry. And John Hope would say the fastest way to become a millionaire is to buy the cheapest home in the worst neighborhood and make that home a more valuable home, fix the home over time, and then sell it and upgrade. And if you can't get the $400,000 house, there's a $200,000 house somewhere. There's a house for every person on this planet somewhere. You have to find that house.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there definitely is. It's just about mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset. Man. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Dude, I'm just glad to see you doing good, man. I've been watching you on the gram for years, a decade. I watch all my former kids. Like, it's nothing better for a school teacher than to see what Instagram's not the best measure all the time because life gets complicated. But it's nice to see good news from the kids I taught. It hurts. It hurts when it doesn't always work out. I know a lot of people are like teachers could care less. These things that we say about teachers that aren't true. I don't know that in this era you could still teach if you didn't care. That might have been true in the 70s, 80s, but I'd say since No Child Left Behind, and I think any teacher would agree, the only reason you stay in the classroom is because you truly care. It's awesome to see so many of my kids who walked through that freaking green room at Douglas County High School that I hated. I hated that room. I don't know if you knew it. That's the worst band room in America. Awesome band kids, terrible design, bad for your ears, not enough floor space. Oh, I hated that room.
It was definitely small.
But it's nice. It's nice to see you doing well. I'm proud of all of you guys.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate I'm glad I did this because I could have just been holding on to this grudge, this grudge I had basically. But I'm glad I asked my big brother about it, and he was like, "Nah, man, you should." He told me you need to confront him about it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I messaged you, because I was like, man, this dude, all of this stuff, and I was still mad about it. But I guess at a certain level, it just turns into motivation, or it turns into drive to want to do it, right? To prove myself.
I will add, as a teacher, I was not good at, and I'd say as a person, I'm not good at. So like one of the rules they tell you in dealing with people is that you meet emotion with emotion.
Okay.
Like when someone so you were excited, like you were, as a senior in high school, you were like very excited about the path you chose. And here comes logical. So like the ultimate issue, the reason you took it so offensively is because I did not meet you with excitement. If I had responded with excitement and held my opinion, you wouldn't have had the reaction you had.
Yeah. Quite true.
And so like I'm bad at this. Meeting emotion with emotion and meeting, because normally I don't meet emotion with emotion. I typically live in logic land. And so there's nothing worse than Mr. Logical coming to ruin your emotional parade.
And which honestly, now that I'm older, or I guess just more experienced, is very necessary. Definitely very necessary to have that. What would be the word I would use? Contrarian. That's probably the word I would use. Just like a different viewpoint.
But it's still offensive.
Realistic. I'm gonna say realistic.
It's still offensive though, and I'm working on it. Like,
but no, it's not actually. It's realistic. It's realistic because it is realistic. This is a real thing. Are you accounting for this in this plan of yours? Did you think about this? Did you think about that? All these
it's a flaw
analysis, right?
You got ticked at a flaw in your band director, and you should have known that flaw existed over 4 years. I was terrible. I am terrible, and I still am. And any student that I taught anywhere will tell you I am really bad with meeting emotion with emotion. My mom would tell you I'm bad with like meeting emotion with emotion. Typically, I try to logic emotion, and whenever you logic,
because like you're doing your thing and I'm doing my thing, and other people they may disagree, and that's okay for them to disagree with. They agree with me, but I know we're specifically actually in the same industry or like overarching industry. So I'm like, man, I gotta put that to the side because that was 10 years ago, man. Have a great day. On to the next. But it's cool, be it, because I honestly was just like, it's just like this period of my life. And even though I've done things that I really didn't think were possible at the time, I'm having to reevaluate what's possible again in the time frame of what can be done in 3 to 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah.
Because like this podcast, man, this thing is I'm gonna tell you, man, I interviewed a dude yesterday, man. This dude, I don't want to brag, but I'm excited. Just like back in high school, I'm an excited person.
Yeah.
This man has 600 units.
Yeah.
An $80 million portfolio. He owns a hotel in the DR.
That sounds right.
And he has a platform teaching people, herohomesu.net.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, it's very approachable. I just DM'd him on Instagram and, hey, can I interview you? And he was like, sure. I just told him what my goals were. Which, I didn't even tell you that. My actual goal is to buy 150 units.
Yeah.
By May 7th of 2025. And so the way I know it's very short, right? The way I'm gonna do that is through this podcast.
Okay.
And through just leveraging my connections and speaking engagements and doing more seminars. And
so are these properties rehab properties?
One property. It's one property that meets, like, some of the units might need rehab.
Okay.
And then some of the units are already leased.
So this would be like an apartment complex.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. I got to reevaluate. Like, for me, a goal that I've had for a long time since I've been in real estate is to own 100 units. That was my goal when I first started. Yeah. Which was 7, 8 years ago.
And you have that math because you're a realtor, and I'm sure you have a good contractor network if you're looking at a project this big, and you probably have the investor network if you're looking at a project this big. And so I wish you much success in this pursuit, man.
It's a team effort. It's a team effort. And that was, again, like coming back to like when I first got to Atlanta, I always felt like it would be a team effort to do these real estate.
It is.
With me being so young and then also so very excited, a lot of people did not take well to that. It just didn't come across like how I thought it was going to come across when I first got started. Yeah. So that to me was,
you're the new guy in town though.
Right.
Whenever you're the new guy in town, you're going to get treated that way.
Yeah. And that to me was, I'm still on it, but that's why I'm like, my goal, right? This is a goal I've had for 7 plus years, and I still haven't achieved it, but I've just gotten more resolved in okay, no one else is gonna do the goal. Like, I'm gonna have to be the person to do the goal. And then my mindset is, I know that this is what I want to do, and this is what the roadmap is. So I need to just stay on that roadmap and then continue to build the habits and the belief systems and the emotions. And that in and of its own self has been a journey. Definitely a journey. This is what the goal is. I'm not changing the goal. I do helping people though hey, if you're a tenant and you want to be a homeowner, I'd love for you to buy this house from me. That would be great. This would be a good home for you. But yeah, at the end of it, at the bottom of it, it's definitely freedom, time, source of income, and then and living life on your terms. Okay, you want to be able to take time off to do this, go on this vacation, or just start another business. I have stuff I want to do outside of real estate too, but it's like this. I'm on my mission, so I gotta complete my mission first before I start really delving deeper into the bigger projects. Because I have bigger aspirations, but I gotta start small and work from there. And
Monopoly, it's all Monopoly, man. All the rules to making money is Monopoly. That little game has so much knowledge if you're willing to see it as knowledge and not just a game.
And actually finish the game. Because a lot of people don't want to play the game. It's about what you do with your money.
Agreed.
That can help you live the life that you want to live, to do the things that you want to do. People can get to the fast track.
Yep.
I want you to see Brandon's personality, which still sounds so strange saying
Easy. That. Brandon, or your mortgage guy, Respress, either one.
Your mortgage guy, Respress. I've just known you as Respress for
most of my good friends in life call me Respress, so it's fine.
Just wanted you guys to just see the personality, and also what's, and I was talking with some brothers yesterday, is that this is ongoing, right? This is not just like a lesson or like a book you read and you put down. This isn't like a game of Monopoly. We're actually doing this in real time. Yeah. You need to have people on your team who have your best interests, who always have your best interests. If you're new in real estate, or if you're young like me, or even if you're younger than me, it's about seeing the bigger picture. Yeah, and the bigger picture is you guys getting to your goals, getting to your freedom, getting to your real estate, whatever you're trying to do in your real estate career. Listen to this video and watch this video and be like, oh man, so-and-so said I'd never own a house. And then 10 years go by and you still ain't own a house because you're mad at this person. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you, because it's not even that deep for them. And it's probably not helping you get to where you want to go.
Agreed.
So you guys make sure to subscribe to all of his channels. Make sure to check him out. If you need a mortgage, you need to work with him. Whatever he's got going on, go support it. And this has been episode number 6 of the podcast.